What if every word you say makes her feel less for you? What if the more you try to explain, the less she respects you? Crazy, right? But it's happening. And most men don't even see it. Let's go deep. You ever sit across from her, heart beating fast, trying to make her understand you? You look her in the eyes and say, I care. I'm trying. I just want you to know how much you mean to me. And what does she do? She sighs. She looks away. She checks her phone. She says, okay, but you can feel it. She's not really listening. That moment hurts so bad, doesn't it? It makes you feel small, confused, and even a little angry, because you opened up your heart and it still didn't work. Why does this happen? Because when you explain too much, she starts to wonder why you feel the need to explain. Think about it. Strong men don't explain everything. They don't beg to be understood. They don't chase with words. They observe. They stay calm. And they adjust. That's powerful. When you try too hard to prove you're good, kind, or loyal, it starts to look weak. It feels like you're trying to earn her approval. And the moment she feels that, something in her changes. The mystery is gone. The attraction fades. And now, you're no longer the man she admired. It's sad but true. Now listen closely. This isn't about being rude or cold. It's about being stoic, being grounded, being the kind of man who doesn't flinch, doesn't overtalk, doesn't chase. A man who speaks less, but carries more power. A man who watches everything, but says very little, because she doesn't need 1,000 words to feel your value. She needs to feel your energy, your calmness, your certainty. That's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her crave you. That's what makes her stay. So next time you feel like talking too much, explaining yourself, convincing her, stop, pause, feel your chest rise with a slow breath, and say nothing. Let your silence say everything. Why your absence speaks louder than any words you say. What if just being gone for a little while made her think about you more than all the sweet things you ever said? Sounds strange, right? But what if you became more powerful just by not being there? Let's find out why. Have you ever tried doing more just to get her attention? Texted her, "Good morning," every day? Called her when she didn't reply? Tried to make her smile when she was cold or distant? And yet, she seemed to pull further away? You gave more, and she gave less. It hurts. It feels unfair. You're doing everything right, and still she's not chasing you. But here's something most men never learn. Your absence is more attractive than your presence when she's unsure. Yep, you heard that right. Sometimes being around too much makes you invisible, too available, too easy, and in her mind, too boring. But the second you go quiet, not as a game, but because you're busy with your life, something wild starts to happen. She starts thinking. She starts wondering. She starts missing you. Where is he? Why didn't he text me today? Is he losing interest? Who's he with? These thoughts rush through her mind like a storm. And the guy who was just there all the time suddenly becomes valuable. That's the power of absence. Not because you're trying to trick her, but because you're finally focusing on yourself, your goals, your peace, your path. This is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to distract. When a man stops making her the center of his world, she feels it. And that contrast, that silence, that space, draws her back faster than any long speech or deep text ever could. Because now, you're not a chaser, you're a challenge. And women don't crave men who give it all away. They crave the ones they can't fully figure out. Purpose first. Why she follows a man who follows himself. Have you ever seen a man walk into a room and everybody just felt him? He didn't need to talk loud or brag or try hard. He just had this calm power. And women, they noticed. Why? Because that man had one thing many guys don't: purpose. Let's break it down. When a man doesn't have a purpose, he drifts, he chases, he waits, he keeps checking his phone, hoping she texts back. He feels lost when she pulls away. He starts asking questions like, did I do something wrong? Is she mad? Should I text her again? But here's the hard truth. Women don't want to lead. They want to join a man who's already moving forward. Think of it like this. If your life is like a train going nowhere, why would she hop on? But if your life is like a train flying full speed toward the clear, bold, exciting place, now that's a ride she wants to take. See, when you have goals, real goals, when you wake up with fire in your belly, when you don't wait around for a text to feel good about yourself, she sees it. She sees you're already full. You don't need her. You're choosing her. That's power. That's what creates mystery and pull. It's not the sweet words, not the daily check-ins, not the flowers or proving yourself. It's you saying, with your life, I'm going somewhere. You can join, but I'm not stopping. When a woman sees that, she follows, she respects, she feels safe, not because you forced her, but because you're leading something bigger than her. And that right there is where true attraction begins. Scarcity speaks louder than words. Why do diamonds cost more than rocks? They're both from the ground. They're both just things. But one is rare, and one is everywhere. That's how women see men too. When you're always around, always saying yes, always showing up, you become like the rock. But when you're focused on your own life, when your time is limited and valuable, you become like the diamond. Let's get into it. Most guys think, if I give more, she'll like me more. If I stay close, she'll feel safe. If I always say yes, she'll see I care. But what really happens? She stops respecting you. She starts taking you for granted. She gets bored. She starts testing you or even ignoring you. Why? Because you're always there, always giving, always easy. And in her mind, that means you're not rare. But when you start living for your goals, when you're not available every time she calls, when you politely say, "I've got plans," she feels something strange. She wonders, wait, where is he? What's he doing? Why isn't he chasing me like the rest? Suddenly, her mind wakes up. Now you are the mystery. Now she's the one thinking, not you. You didn't pull away to punish her. You simply stayed on your path. You didn't ignore her to play games. You just had something more important to do. And now, you're no longer common. You're no longer easy. You're no longer just another guy texting good morning every day. You became scarce, and she felt it deeply. Still water runs deep. Emotional mastery is magnetic. Have you ever seen a lake on a calm morning? No waves, no noise, just peace. But deep down, the water moves. Powerful, quiet, steady. That's what real men feel like. And guess what? Women can feel that stillness, and they're drawn to it like magic. Let's be real. Most guys, they react too fast. She pulls back, they panic. She acts cold, they chase. She gives attitude, they argue. And just like that, they lose all power. Why? Because they gave her control over their emotions. But a stoic man, he doesn't react. He observes, he breathes, he adjusts. That doesn't mean he hides his feelings. It means he controls them. When a woman pushes a button and you don't flinch, that silence screams, "I'm unshakable." When you speak with calm, not chaos, she feels it in her bones. It's like she's looking at someone who knows himself fully. And here's the secret. She tests you on purpose. Not to hurt you, but to see if you break. If you break, you fall. If you stay grounded, you rise in her eyes. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being strong enough to feel and still stay steady. Storms may come, but if your energy stays calm like that lake, she'll trust you more, respect you more, and yes, want you more. Because deep down, every woman craves safety, and calm men feel safe to her heart. Now here's the big question. What if your quiet strength was built from real confidence? Not fake talk, not loud shows, but real ability and self-trust. On the next stage, we'll uncover how to build genuine, silent, unshakable confidence. Want to see how? Real confidence doesn't speak, it just moves. What if the most powerful man in the room wasn't the loudest? What if he didn't even say much? But everyone turned when he walked in. That kind of energy? It's not magic. It's real confidence, and you can build it step by step. Now listen closely. Most guys think confidence is about being flashy. Big cars, big talk, big poses, fake smiles. But the truth? That's not confidence. That's fear, wearing a costume. Real confidence? It's quiet. It's slow. It doesn't need to prove anything, because it knows it already is. Let's break this down. A Stoic man builds confidence from one place only, inside. It doesn't come from her liking him, or from followers, or fame. It comes from doing hard things and knowing who you are. Did you wake up and keep a promise to yourself today? That's confidence. Did you stay calm when others got loud? That's confidence. Did you walk away from what didn't serve you? That's confidence. Women don't need you to be perfect, but they can sense if you're unsure, if you're chasing approval, if you need them to say, "Good job." That's when they lose interest. Fast. Because deep down, every woman wants a man she can believe in. Not just when things are fun, but when things get tough. So here's your key. Stop seeking her approval. Start giving your own. When you trust yourself, when you know what you stand for, you won't have to say a word. Your energy will do the talking, and she'll feel it. Purpose first. Everything else follows. Have you ever noticed? The more a man chases love, the more it runs. But the moment he stops chasing, suddenly everyone starts watching. Strange? Not really. It's what happens when a man locks into something bigger than her. Let's talk about purpose. It's not just a big word. It's the fire inside you that doesn't go out. Most men? They make a woman their everything. They plan their day around her. They give up their goals, their time, even their peace, just to make her smile. At first, she might like the attention, but soon, she starts to feel something is off. She doesn't say it out loud, but deep down, she knows. You made her your reason for living, and that feels heavy to her. Too heavy. Here's the truth. She doesn't want to be the center of your world. She wants to orbit a man who already has a world of his own. A mission, a path, a direction. When your eyes are on your purpose, you become a man with motion. You're going somewhere. And people, especially women, feel that. It makes you more attractive without trying, more powerful without noise, more calm because you're not clinging, you're creating. And here's the best part. When you have purpose, her mixed signals don't confuse you. You don't need her to decide, because you've already chosen. You're not sitting still, hoping she'll like you. You're moving forward. And if she fits in that path, great. If not, you keep walking. That's Stoic strength. And that's what makes her lean in, wondering why you're not leaning out. Silence speaks louder than begging. Why do the loudest men get ignored, while the quiet ones leave her thinking about them all night? Strange, right? But that's the secret. Silence is not empty. It's powerful. When you go quiet, not because you're angry, not because you're pulling back, but because you are focused. Something inside her starts to whisper. She starts to wonder. Why isn't he texting first? Why hasn't he asked me to hang out? Is he over me? And that little whisper, it grows louder and louder until it becomes a storm in her head. But let me be clear. This isn't about playing games. This is about living real life. You're not going silent to get a reaction. You're going silent because your mind is busy with things that matter. Your goals, your craft, your peace. You're not disappearing. You're becoming rare. And guess what? People chase what they can't always reach. You don't have to say a word. Your energy says it for you. Calm, strong, centered. She feels it, and it shakes her more than any speech ever could. This is the magic of presence through absence. Not because you ghosted, but because your life is full enough that you don't need to fill the silence just to be noticed. When she reaches out, stay still. What if the moment she finally calls or texts is the moment that decides everything? Most men mess this up. They jump. They react. They spill everything they were feeling, hoping to get her back. But the Stoic man? He doesn't rush. He watches. He listens. And then he decides. When she finally reaches out after silence, it means she noticed your absence. It means you did not beg, did not chase, did not explain. She expected you to fold, but you didn't. Now she's curious. Now she's confused. Now she's thinking, wait, did he move on? This is your power. This is where most men lose it. They reply with too much, too fast, too emotional, trying to fix something that doesn't need fixing. But you don't reply out of fear. You respond from stillness. You're not mad. You're not cold. You're just sure of yourself. You take your time. You think. You answer calmly, short, solid, confident. This tells her everything. It tells her you're not weak for her affection. It tells her your peace doesn't depend on her. It tells her you're not the same man she could control before. You didn't try to explain yourself. Because a man who truly sees does not need to explain. He adjusts, quietly, strongly. Now here's the twist. What happens when she starts chasing you? What if, for the first time, she's unsure and you're the one in control? On the final stage, we'll close it out with the most powerful lesson of all. How to lead with calm energy, not words, and let her feel the shift without you saying a thing. Do you want to see how the final move is made? You must let her feel the shift without saying a word. What if the strongest thing you could say was nothing at all? What if your silence, your calm, your actions spoke louder than any speech, text, or long explanation ever could? Because here's the truth. A real man doesn't need to prove anything. He just becomes something she can feel. And let's imagine this. You're not chasing. You're not convincing. You're not sending long texts trying to explain what she misunderstood. You're not doing any of that. Instead, you're waking up early. You're focused. You're building your body, your mind, your craft. You're living your life. You've stopped looking at your phone every 5 minutes. You've stopped waiting for a reply. You've stopped needing her to say anything because you already know. You've shifted from being the man who needs her to the man she wants to understand. She'll notice something's different. She'll feel it in your energy, in your tone, in your silence. Not cold, but calm. Not angry, but peaceful. And here's what happens next. She begins to question her own actions. She wonders what you're thinking. She replays everything. Why? Because your energy is no longer easy to reach. She feels the shift, and it stirs something deep in her. Not because you yelled, not because you argued, not because you explained, but because you stood still. Firm, stoic, confident. This is the final power move. Not silence to hurt her, but silence to protect your peace. And in that silence, she will either grow to meet you or fade away. Either way, you stay grounded. You stay strong. You stay free. Now let me ask you something. What would happen if more men stopped explaining and started embodying? Would you become one of them? Would you become the rare kind of man she never forgets?